What's up, Dub Nation? Welcome back to the DubsIn4 Podcast. This is episode 7. Today is September 2nd, 2018, and today we're going to continue our division overview series, and today we're going to be talking about, tongue-tied here, be talking about the Northwest Division. That would be the Jazz, Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Trailblazers. We're just going to be going over them, but before we do that, we're just going to give two quick little shout-outs this week. First, to the man, the myth, the legend, Manu Ginobili, who announced his retirement. After spending, I believe, 16 seasons in the NBA, he's retiring from professional basketball. Ginobili, great guy, well-respected, probably the best sixth man of all time, won a few championship rings with the Spurs. Really, really great player, just a class act, great guy. Had a lot of fun games and fun series against the Warriors, and he had his last career game was actually against the Warriors in the playoffs. So that was cool to kind of see him, play out the last year of his career in the playoffs and stuff. It'll be weird to see that that's those Spurs teams without Ginobili, Duncan, and Tony Parker. Pretty soon Popovich will be gone too. So it's kind of the end of an era in San Antonio. So nothing but respect for Ginobili, and we wish him the best in his retirement. And another thing that happened this week is David West also announced his retirement from the NBA. Spent the last 2 seasons with Golden State, obviously, back-to-back championships, and he is retiring out on top. So he spent a long time in the NBA, with the Hornets, with the Hornets for a long time, with the Pacers for a little bit, had a year with the Spurs, went to the Warriors. Just a great locker room guy for Golden State. Gave him a couple minutes every night of just, toughness, rebounding, good, nice mid-range shooting and stuff. Really good locker room presence. Super great guy. And we here in Dub Nation, we love David West, and we love you, and we hope you have the best retirement. And so, just hats off to those two guys for being great. And we wish them both the best of luck and the next chapter of their lives. So now with that out of the way, we're going to get into today's topic. So we're going to be talking about the Northwest Division, as I mentioned before. I'm just going to go over what happened with their offseason and what I think the order of teams is going to be from best to worst. So we're going to start off. I think that the best team in this division, this one's really, really close because all 5 of these teams are good. All 5 of them could make the playoffs. So this one was tough for me to pick, but I'm going with the Jazz. This will be similar to when I talked about my playoff predictions for the year a couple weeks ago. I had the Jazz as the best team in this division. I think they're better than OKC. I think the top 2 teams here are pretty clearly the Thunder and the Jazz. I think the Jazz are going to be better. This might just be a hunch of mine, but another year of Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Healthy Rudy Gobert is the biggest thing. And they pretty much kept everybody. They pretty much kept everybody under contract. They re-signed Derek Favors. I think their only move was getting rid of Jerebko, and he went to the Warriors. They drafted Grayson Allen to replace him, but pretty much everybody else on the entire team stayed the same, I'm pretty sure. So basically it's the same team we saw last year, but sophomore year Donovan Mitchell, he'll hopefully he'll be better with another year of experience under his belt. And Rudy Gobert, if he stays healthy, they will be, a monster defensively. So I think the Jazz have a really strong season, and that puts them at the top of this division for me. So there's that. And then I mentioned this, but I think that the Thunder are the second best seed. They are a very different team this year. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year, but I don't think they're better than the Jazz. The biggest thing that they've done is they have no Carmelo Anthony anymore, and they've replaced him with Dennis Schroeder and Nerlens Noel off their bench. So that'll be some nice little pieces for them. Not having Melo, I think that's addition by subtraction. And then Schroeder is a very, very nice backup point guard for Russell Westbrook. Nerlens Noel is good on that cheap deal that they brought him in on. So they'll be better for sure. They're a new look team. I think they're a lot more fine-tuned without Carmelo Anthony. Paul George with another year in the system with Westbrook. I think this is the second best team in this division pretty clearly. I think the Jazz and Thunder will be really close, and I predicted they're going to meet in the first round of the playoffs again. So that's kind of a nice little rivalry they have going on there, playing in the same division, meeting in the playoffs. I think this will be a cool one for the next couple of years, Jazz and Thunder. At third here, I have the Denver Nuggets. The biggest thing for them is they have another year of their young core. All their young players, like guys like Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, they've all now gotten a year older, had another year of NBA experience, getting better and stuff like that. So it makes sense for the Nuggets to be a lot better team with Paul Millsap healthy, and not only that, but they've drafted Michael Porter Jr. At 14. If he's healthy, he could be the steal of the draft, and based on reports we've seen, it's looking like he is going to play this year, so that'll be nice for them. And they signed Isaiah Thomas to be their backup point guard off the bench, which is an amazing signing. On the minimum deal, Isaiah Thomas, he was an MVP candidate just a couple years ago, averaging nearly 30 points. So it's having him as your sixth man off the bench. As bad as he was last season, he's still got to be a steal at that price. So this team will be good. For sure, they'll be good. And just another year of their young core, healthy Paul Millsap, Michael Porter Jr., Isaiah Thomas. Nuggets are going to be scary. I have them as the third best team in this division just because this division is amazing, but I have the Nuggets as my 7 seed, I believe, in the playoffs. The West is so tough, you guys, but I really believe in this team, and they're going to be good for the next couple of years. So we have Denver there. At 4, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves here. They didn't do much with their offseason. They signed Anthony Tolliver from the Pistons, which he's a nice piece. He'll be good for them. Give them a little bit more 3-point shooting, but other than that, he's not amazing. So they have Anthony Tolliver now. Didn't really do much else with the rest of their roster spots. They lost Nemanja Bjelica, but he didn't do much for them. Doesn't look like they're bringing back Jamal Crawford. They brought back Derrick Rose, which is nice. There's rumors they want Luol Deng. Honestly, I don't know if that's like a joke because of like the Timberwolves thing where Thibodeau wants to bring back everybody he had back when he was with Chicago. They have Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson. It's just kind of funny how all those guys are just reuniting under the same coach, just on a different team. I don't think they'll sign Luol Deng. It doesn't really make much sense for me to bring him in. But it could happen. But I think at this point in his career should probably be over. But Joakim Noah, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I have the Timberwolves here. I think they're about the same as they were last season, maybe a little better, just with, again, all their young guys getting more experience. I really value that. I think you guys are starting to notice that I just developmentally, these young guys, 21, 22, 23-year-olds, as they're, entering their primes, 24, 25, they're starting to, get better and get more minutes and more experience and everything, maturing physically, stuff like that. So I really do think that the Timberwolves are going to be better this year. Depends on how this whole Jimmy Butler thing shakes out, because apparently he is unhappy there. A thing that could throw a huge wrench into this is if they decide to trade Jimmy Butler halfway through the season. That it could be something that realistically happens. If they feel like he is not going to re-sign with them, they're not doing too well, not really contending, to win the title, they could look to ship Jimmy Butler out before the trade deadline, get something back for him rather than nothing, if they do feel like he is going to leave in free agency. So if that situation, sours more and more to the point where they're sure he's not going to re-sign, then I wouldn't be surprised if they do trade him away. And then at that point, I don't think they would make the playoffs unless they got back somebody else for him, but they'd probably be looking for draft picks and young assets in a trade like that. So if they do trade away Jimmy Butler, I see them missing the playoffs. But right now, I think they're a playoff spot. I think they're going to get the 8th seed as the 4th team in this division. And then last, I have the Portland Trailblazers. A lot of people, this is a polarizing team. They were the 3 seed last year, but in a tougher West. I mean, they were only the 3 seed by like 2 games. They were like 2 or 3 games out of the playoffs. It was really, really close. They could have easily missed the postseason, had a couple things gone the other way. So, we have the Trailblazers here. They didn't really do anything in the offseason. They're just trying to rock out with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And they don't really want to break up that backcourt duo, but they need somebody else. They just need to try something different basically it hasn't worked. They've had those two together for the last 4 or 5 years at this point. They have Yusuf Nurkic, he's okay, but they have nobody at either of the forward spots. Evan Turner is terrible. They're paying all these guys so much money, and it's like their front office has had some pretty bad decision making. Everybody's been begging them to trade one of their two guards for like the past 2 or 3 years now, but it doesn't look like they're going to do it. If they were going to, I would hope they'd trade CJ McCollum. I think you obviously keep Damian Lillard, trade CJ away, get either a forward back, somebody like, I don't know, Blake Griffin. They wouldn't get Blake Griffin, but like Tobias Harris maybe, or you just get a draft pick and draft somebody, or just try to rebuild. Maybe keep Lillard, but get rid of everybody else and just try to get draft picks. At this point, I think they're going to miss the playoffs. They're one of the good teams in the West that's going to miss the playoffs. They will be good. They're not going to be terrible. They'll probably win 40+ games with their backcourt, and they have okay players, but they're not title contenders. They're postseason contenders. They're contenders for like the 7th or 8th seed. And for some reason, ownership and their players continue to think that they are title contenders. McCollum's always out here talking about how they're going to win the title and hating on the Warriors and Kevin Durant and Boogie Cousins, and everyone's like, dude, just show us that you can do something. Like, McCollum's a good player, but he has had no playoff success, and the Trailblazers have not in the past, the last couple years. So it's just gotten to that point where they have to do something, and they're just refusing to do it. I could go on about Portland for a while, but I'll cut it off there. I just think that they need to trade one of their stars in their backcourt, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, at least in the foreseeable future. And so I have them as the worst team in this division, missing the playoffs, even though they're still going to be pretty good. So anyway, that's basically what I have right now. I have the Jazz as number 1, Thunder 2, Nuggets 3, Timberwolves 4, and Trailblazers 5. Honestly, this division is really, really close, and it could go, a multitude of different ways. I could see the Thunder being the best team here. I could even realistically see the Nuggets being the best team in this division. I'm really high on the Nuggets. I think they're going to be really good. I don't think they're better than OKC or Utah. It's hard for me to put them above either one of those teams, but we'll see. Anything could happen. Injuries could totally derail this, and it probably will, because that happens every year, which sucks, but it does. Timberwolves, like I mentioned, trading Jimmy Butler would change everything here. If the Blazers were to trade away one of their, if they were to trade away Damian Lillard for, another star player, then that would be totally different. But yeah, either way, this will be an interesting division for sure. This one will be close. It'll be close at the top all the way down to the bottom. I don't see more than 10 games separating all of these teams. I think it'll be really close between the Jazz and the Thunder. It'll be close between the Nuggets and the T-Wolves. Nuggets could even be right there up with the upper two. And I think, depending on how the Timberwolves season goes, they could be closer to the Trailblazers than I think too. Timberwolves could slip a little bit depending on the whole Jimmy Butler thing, injuries, whatever. But that's what I have. So next week we'll be going over the other division in the Western Conference, which I don't know what the name of it is. But yeah, it's the one that's not the Pacific and not the Northwest. So we'll be talking about the other Western Conference division here next week, and then we'll move over to the East. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and this has been the DubsIn4 Podcast, and I will see you guys all next week.